Today's video is going to go over how to change the oil in your E39 BMW. Changing the oil on these cars is just as easy as it is on any other car, but it's just a little bit different. For those of you coming from domestic or JDM cars, the German market cars are a little bit different, the filters are a little different, but it's going to be very similar to changing the oil on any other car. On the V8 E39s, the oil capacity is 8 quarts, so you're going to need 2 jugs. It'll give you some extra for if the car burns any oil, and you're also going to need one of these filters. Unlike USDM and JDM cars, the Germans use a reusable filter housing and just replace the element. The convenient thing about this is it's right up here. You don't have to crawl under the car to change the filter. It's right there, and you can always easily inspect the filter when you take it out, looking in between the fins for any signs of deposits from worn bearings or any other problems within your engine. I always go with Molly brand filters because it comes with a new O-ring for the reusable canister, and it comes with the little brass washer that you need to make sure the oil pan seals. So nice little feature on that. And I'm a big fan of this Mobil 1 Extended Performance Synthetic. It lasts for 15,000 miles. Just make sure that your oil filter is compatible with that. You don't want to be trying to change oil filters halfway through the cycle. Which brings me to tip number 1, drain the oil before you open the filter housing. If you open the filter housing right now, you're going to make an enormous mess as all the oil spills out of the filter housing. So I slide under the car and drain the oil. First things first, you're going to have to make some room for yourself to get under the car. You can do this without a jack. You just need a wheel chock, the parking brake, and then some wooden ramps will get the job done. Just make sure everything's secure before you slide under the car. BMW was nice enough to put a little trap door right here, so you have access to the drain plug, but you don't have to take off the whole splash guard. If you don't have one of these oil catch containers, I highly recommend them. It's great. It drains all the oil into it. You can seal it up and take it to a recycling center. All you need is a Phillips head screwdriver to get the trap door down. And one single turn should be enough. The drain plug in the bottom of the pan is a 13 millimeter. You'll get a bit better drain if the engine is still warm. The oil will run down just a little bit smoother. So now we've got it draining. Let's go to the top. We'll open the fill plug, make it drain a little bit easier. Make sure your catch pan is large enough to handle 8 quarts. You really don't want this to overflow. We're now ready to remove the cap on the reusable filter housing. I like to set a paper towel underneath it just in case. If you have one, you can use a socket or you can use a wrench to take this off. Gently break it loose. You do not want to strip this. If oil is going to come out, it's going to come out on the back. So again, just have a paper towel ready. You'll hear once it gets high enough that it's no longer sealing, you'll hear some pressure release. So just give it a second and go slow. So you can see I did catch some oil, but we didn't make a mess. The way I like to change out these filters to keep from making a mess is I take a grocery bag, put it on my hand. I'll grab the filter. It is held in place at the bottom. We pop it loose, pull it straight up with the bag. Let's be nice and gentle, go slow. And just like that, you get your filter out. It's already in a bag. You can go dispose it safely, and you didn't make a mess. So I like to inspect the inside of the cap and the housing just to make sure there's no debris in there. You can use a small pick to replace the seal. And with that, we can install our new filter. The larger hole goes towards the bottom. I like to grease the filter as I'm screwing it in, just to keep it from binding. You don't want to over tighten this because you don't want it to get stuck. It even has a torque spec on top of it of 0.25 Newton meters. So very easy on this one, guys. I've replaced the drain plug and I've replaced the copper washer on it. I've got it tightened down to the factory spec of 18 foot-pounds. Now we're gonna put in 8 quarts of oil. I'm probably gonna put in 7.5. Check the level, let the engine run a little bit, and then add in the extra half quart if we need it, just to be sure. It's easier to put more in than it is to take some back out. So that's about 7.5 quarts in the engine. So we'll go ahead, put everything back together, back the car off the ramp, start it up, let it run for a little bit, cut it back off, we'll check the oil, and it's as easy as that. So after letting the car run for a few minutes, it looks like 7.5 quarts was the perfect amount. I'll keep an eye on it over the next few days just to make sure I don't need to add that extra half quart in. But that's how easy it is to change the oil on an E39 BMW. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next week.